afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for having me and allowing me to share my thoughts this afternoon. My name's Gerald, as Alex and Harper pointed out. I'm currently the head of retrofit at the Center for Sustainability. I was certified as a retrofit coordinator in 2019, and I currently have a BSc in construction project management. What I aim to do with this presentation is to get you to think about the skills. Sorry, someone's on. Sorry, there you go. To get you to think about the skills beyond the PAS 2035 and PAS 2030 training and certification requirements and to deliver retrofit. The opportunities in retrofit are huge and your career can be very rewarding. But what do you need to be even better at delivering retrofit and still be prepared for the changes that are coming? Retrofit is becoming more complex because of existing and new regulations such as the building regs, CDM, which is the Construction Design Management 2015, Part L, which is conservation of fuel and power, approved document F, which is ventilation. You have AWAB's law, and then there is the decision on whether to do a whole house retrofit or a staged retrofit approach. We need to work within these compliance frameworks while coordinating a technical delivery, often within a restricted budget. The current training doesn't prepare us for any of these challenges. So what are these skills that we need? Beyond the technical ability of understanding system thinking across fabric, ventilation, and heating, we will need compliance awareness in the previously mentioned building regs and in PAS 2035. But also the compliance that comes with grant funding. Custom engagement skills are probably the hardest to learn. The general public at the moment are not engaging in retrofit for numerous reasons, and probably the most influential reason being that the language and words that we're using isn't helping. There's a lot to be learned from community groups and how they are succeeding where we are failing. Project management training will give us the skills to understand processes and coordination capability and the tools to manage stakeholders, communication, and finances and budget. The PAS certification we have is only a small part of what we actually need. Currently, retrofit training only provides technical expertise with training gaps in it. The regulatory compliance building regs, planning, and building saving regs are missing, as well as quality assurance beyond scheme requirements like Trustmark. While Trustmark is a valuable customer protection scheme, holistic quality assurance is an internal commitment to quality that permeates every detail of the retrofit process, from the initial assessment and design through to the installation techniques and the final validation of performance, ensuring the project delivers on its promise to the client and to the environment. We also need to consider cross-disciplinary collaboration, contractor management, and how to integrate PAS 2030 skills into project planning. Then there's the issue around customer engagement, building trust, and managing homeowner expectations. Every day we deal with myths, misconceptions, social media, and news outlets only to make our job more difficult. None of these things that I pointed out can be found in a single course. And if I were to only recommend 2 training courses, they would be, firstly, building regs, which would include building safety and CDM. This would be to clarify our roles and responsibilities within the built environment for retrofit. And then the second course I'd recommend would be project management training for comprehensive process management, stakeholder engagement, communication planning, financial management, and budgeting, which would help equip us to manage complex retrofit projects effectively and holistically. And to bring all of that round into perspective, I've got a case study here which can be controversial. So in our work at CSC, we are delivering on both funded and self-funded retrofit. And what we found is that whole house retrofit is very difficult to sell to homeowners. But by creating options, we can get more people involved. So what would happen if we were to fit heat pumps first? So heat pumps are often fitted once all the fabric upgrades have been completed. Is this the best solution? And what would happen if we did it the other way around? So with a small amount of draft proofing, and by this I mean a ventilation strategy, and insulation, most, but not all, UK homes would be heat pump ready. Probably the most important step will be in ensuring that the heat pump design guarantees a coefficient of performance of 3.5 or 350% or above to make the running of the heat pump comparable to that of a gas boiler. This staged process is cost effective, is less disruptive, and saves money on the running of the home. Any additional retrofit done at a later stage would only make the heat pump more efficient and even cheaper to run. Best of all, there's now research that backs up what I've been saying, and more support is coming from the wider retrofit environment too. So as I've said, retrofit can be a rewarding career, not just financially, but also in the ways that it can change people's lives by making their homes more affordable, healthy, and more comfortable. Thank you very much. And are there any questions?
Okay, yeah, cheers for that, Joel. That was really interesting and informative. So from a recruiter perspective, we thought we'd just dig into what we kind of look out for, and not only in conversations, but also like on your profiles, on your online presence, because that can be a really important aspect, not only for connecting with recruiters like us, but actually connecting to professionals and giving yourself a good presence online, which is, you know, how a lot of people do things nowadays. So the first thing I'd probably give as a bit of advice is to just stay really informed. Like we've mentioned a few times, the sector's evolving so rapidly. There's so many policy shifts, different funding mechanisms, which like Gerald mentioned, are inconsistent. There are kind of sweet spots of the year where they're more relevant than others. And aside from that, like innovative technologies as well. In terms of the funding streams, obviously the local authority ones are really key to be aware of. So SHDF, or what it might be SHF now, I think they renamed it, warmer homes, the home upgrade grant, and all of your kind of residential retrofit schemes. There's policy shifts as well. So it's more of a targeted funding than competitive bidding. So, you know, there is a stronger demand for bid writers, business case experts, and people with commercial acumen to join these local authorities and help push things through. Another thing to be really aware of would be, you know, like innovative technology. Again, AI is starting to take over. Heat network expansions can link in a lot to, you know, decarbonising built larger areas. So just constantly educating yourself and staying up to date is something I'd really want to encourage, alongside the kind of nature that decarb and retrofit really does exist in a lot of sectors, so that any crossover into other areas is going to be quite beneficial, whether that's, you know, energy, heat networks, climate change, sustainability. It really is involved in everything. Let's go next slide. I think this one's new.
Cool. So yeah, on to how you apply for opportunities. So there's two ways that you can look at it. It can be reactive and proactive. From a reactive point of view, you can work with recruiters like ourselves, who you can sign up with the agency, do an initial call so they can understand your motivation, what's looking for you to progress. And from that, they can then pick up the phone and let you know. As you know, I think from our perspective, you know, we speak to hundreds of people a week. So I think it's that proactive search with them and the touch points. I think when we speak to some candidates, it's one call, and that's kind of it, where we will call them back, which you can imagine the multiple calls, you can build that relationship and get it remembered more. So that's kind of one step we can do. There's of course a lot of permanent adverts out online where, let's be frank, with most local authorities, they'll want to apply and recruit for their own adverts to save on a fee. So I would go on the variety search engines from like CV Library, Read, Total Jobs, and also investigate what is specific within the sector. Like Plan and have their own one. So we're net zero. Is Harper's a specific one off the top of your head?
Jobs Go Public.
Okay.
I think it's a really good one.
So sign up to these search engines, then you'll get approached that way. So they're the kind of basic reactive ways. But what I would do from a proactive point of view is, build out your network. So LinkedIn is free. I've got the LinkedIn Recruiter on top of that. It costs, so depending on where kind of you're up to and how proactive you need to be. But yeah, engage with professional groups. So that can be from LinkedIn. There's company pages, there's events, there's webinars like this where quite a lot are free. So from that, you can engage with people from different walks of life and within the sector across the country. This could be online or attend industry events. I had a big one in May, UK Reef. A lot of the main people there. So a lot of people that I've spoken to, but it was quite weird in the sense when you actually meet the person that you know each other exists, which is quite weird to say, but it is true. You bump into random people and you can have engaging conversations where it's not behind teams. So I don't know about you. I think sometimes teams conversations are all about objective agenda, where in these sorts of environments you can really, have the hallway chat, and say how you doing on the weekend, all that stuff, all the good stuff, but then get down to the objectives at hand. So that's kind of industry. And then we, other the job as we mentioned, but also we have a group called Login. So it's local authority professionals come together to discuss a variety of different topics. So that can be from challenges, not just in the net zero, but across the board. But with devolution, agenda reforms coming up, it could be a good platform to network and share ideas. So we'll send the link after. But there's a couple of tips to kind of reactive and proactive from LinkedIn. If you are looking to kind of double down on your LinkedIn skills, I'd recommend connecting with people. Once you've connected, my advice, if you don't know them or don't really have an agenda to speak about, don't put a message in a connection chat. We did a stat the other day, more people are likely to accept just general connection just because of curiosity factor rather than a, hey, I hope we can connect sort of thing. Because that I think is, they just want that curiosity factor and then they just know from that sense. Engage with people you connect with. So once you connect with them, people have posts. I think a lot of people say, thanks for sharing or great news. Ask them questions, engage with them. Like if you were in person, you wouldn't go, thanks for sharing and walk off. You'd ask them a particular question to get that engagement. And from that, you can pick up that conversation, or it's a bit more of a gateway to pick up that conversation into a message. And yeah, if you want to create your own content, so then people can engage with you, so you can get the outbound work, get more inbound work. AI, I'm no expert with it, but I think we're at the stage now where you either have to get on board or you're going to get left behind. So embrace AI. You can type onto it like what's relevant in the market, shape it into your own. Because I think where you do ChatGPT or something like Copilot, people will notice if you've just gone, maybe a post like this and put straight on LinkedIn. I think that the hyphens are a big giveaway, but people can spot from a mile away. So yeah, make engaging content so people can react to you. But it's depending on where you're up to. So hopefully in terms of your job search. So hopefully there's a few good points there from a reactive and proactive point of view. And with CV, so I created a template the other day. So very basic format. So what I would do from, introduction, naturally name, where you're from, location, background summary. So I think a lot of people just skip this and go straight onto the experience. So you want people to kind of have a snapshot because, let's be honest, people are lazier than others. They'll read the top and want to scroll down. So they want to understand where you come from, technical background, policy, project management, and highlight the areas and outcomes that you've done. Employees want to know how you've driven change rather than just being a cog in the wheel. So metrics that can give back at your profile and give idea of scale and impact. Again, like I said, utilize AI to help with this. Also, one thing I forgot to mention. Oops, sorry. What I mentioned earlier on is the messages. LinkedIn got this cool new feature now. If you do it on your phone, you can leave voice notes to people. So you can have a good chat. If you don't really know what to say, I think, again, it's more engagement if they can hear your voice, that you've taken time to approach them rather than a message, because it can become across spammy. So yeah, I forgot to mention that. And on your LinkedIn, do polls, photos, videos, do get more engagement. But back to the CV, showcase who you are, what you're looking for, what you've done. And then from that, I always like people outlining they've populated the career highlights from all their jobs at the top. So like get facts, figures, stats. So it really engages the reader to carry on. And then from that, you can go down to, what's it doing now? Notes. Sorry, the notes are gone then. But I'll wing it. So career highlights, and you go into your roles. You got your job title, your organisation, your date of employment. So paint the picture of what the council or organisation were doing, rather than I don't have that, and then what you specifically did. Because I think with CVs, they kind of, I did this duty, etc. But they can see sometimes it's ripped from a JD. So achievements, stats, figures, size teams that you work on, and then you can show then the clear career progression. What I always advise, if there's roles where maybe you started out, say like planning officer, put the titles, put the job titles and the dates on there, but don't really put the summary. I think only add the information in what's relevant to the jobs that you're going for, but it's clear to show the progression. And then the good stuff, qualifications, education, and Prince 2, RICS, additional skills from an IT point of view. You know, AI is prevalent, so the fact that you can showcase that the additional skills you've got in IT, I think is helpful. And then all the good standard references, optional in my opinion, and interest as well. It does show that you're human. There's something quite different, so I would advise doing that.
Right. My slide. And yeah, just leading on from your points, when we search for people for, you know, local authority roles, when they're high profile, we're going to be using buzzwords, which will be project names, and certain project types as well, and just making sure that you can clearly articulate that, like in a precise way in your bullet points is going to be great. And then backing it up with metrics, like you said, is just kind of our process. That's the first place I'd look, is the project experience. So make sure you're listing all of those, especially if they're your topical ones, like I mentioned earlier, like SHDF, warmer homes, because they're really, really sought after. But leading on to kind of adjacent skills within retrofit, like I mentioned, it's, if you're in retrofit, understanding kind of finance mechanisms like green funding, and the social impact of decarb can really give you an edge. You know, the more rounded your knowledge in these different areas, the more cross-functional you're going to be. And like I mentioned earlier, this sector does kind of seep into every other sector in one way or another. So, you know, obviously the formal project management skills like Prince 2 or APM are now almost expected, especially in like your technical and policy-driven roles. And there's so much focus on like performance monitoring as well. So being able to use Power BI, Google Sheets to track carbon or cost savings is a game changer. I think there's a huge push on just making sure everything's being really stringently reported, especially with retrofit delivery with some of the topics that Gerald brought up earlier. So yeah, it's a lot of net zero. Success just does depend on getting the buy-in as well. So whether that's from internal teams, residents, councillors, so having skills in negotiating and facilitating this engagement are really, really critical, especially in this day and age. You know, there is sadly a small portion of people that do not believe in this kind of stuff and do not think it's important. Obviously, I'm not one of them, but it would be really great to continue to try and educate these people and make sure that it is, you know, of paramount importance, like it should be. So yeah, I think leading on from that, just to conclude on the kind of skills section, obviously PAS 2035, or I mean, it's had a couple of names. I think there's a new one now, but PAS 2035, future home standards and kind of zoning legislation for heat networks are going to help align your kind of projects and also help you secure funding for them. So these are some skills that I would say, if you haven't explored them, I think it'd be really worth it to try and just bolster your profile and continue your professional development.